In today's video, we're going to be building 20 different cool LEGO mechanisms. This is our very first mechanism. As you can see, it's very simple. It is just 2 gears. When you take 2 gears of the same size, it'll just result in the other side moving the opposite direction. Let's move on to mechanism 2. Our second mechanism involves the concept of gear ratios. When you use a bigger gear and then a smaller gear compared to 2 gears that are exact same, one gear will spin faster than the other. As you can see right here, this gear is spinning a lot slower than this gear is. That's because for every rotation this one makes, this one will make a lot more rotations. Changing things up a little bit, this mechanism involves 2 gears at a 90-degree mesh. As you can see, the gears are slightly beveled, and so that way you can have rotation that goes around 90 degrees. This is called a gearbox. It utilizes one or multiple levers to create 2 different speeds or more. The basic design of this involves this main component right here. Normally you would take a lever and put it in right here, but I just was a little lazy, so I didn't do that. But all you have to do is push it in, and now this side axle is spinning. And as you can tell, it's spinning a lot faster. This is how cars can go, and so you can change through the different speeds. And this works because of the different grooves inside of the gear right here that then slot into the main drum. Our next Next, we're going to build a linear actuator. This mainly uses 2 beams and then a little beam right here to push it along. When this turns around, this part is going to pump back and forth on the end, just like you see on a steam train. That way you can build kind of a pumping mechanism. It's pretty cool, isn't it? This next mechanism is called a Scottish yoke. When you spin it like this, it moves back and forth. It's pretty satisfying to look at. It basically comprises of a little box right here and then a piston in the middle, just like we had last time. It's just another type of linear actuator. If you've been wondering what I've been using for this video, it's called circuit cubes. It's an alternative to the regular LEGO power system, which has now become very expensive and bulky. These cubes have sponsored the video, and I'm very happy that they did, because I've been using these for the last few months, and they're a really great product. They have a really small footprint of only 4x4 studs, so 16 studs really, and they're rechargeable and super tiny. This one is the battery box, and it can power up to 2 builds at once, but they also sell the geared motor, which is a little bit slow, but it has some high torque, the light brick, which can make 9 different light colors, and then best of all, the Bluetooth and micromotor cubes. This Bluetooth cube can control up to 5 builds at a time with 3 main port slots, and then you can also just control 2 things on the side right there. There's also a rechargeable battery port on the side, and on the back there's the switch. Also, the switch isn't intrusive, so you don't need to build out. It's in the groove right there, so that's great. Additionally, this micromotor is super small, and it has not 1, not 2, but 3 ports. So if you're building something really cramped, you don't have to worry about the wires. So yeah, these are circuit cubes. They're very affordable and come in a variety of kits, and you can find them in the link in the description. Our next mechanism is this universal joint that uses these macaroni-ish looking pieces. It's a little bit tricky to look at, but it's also very mesmerizing. It's a bit difficult to assemble, but it just looks really cool. So it's basically just a 90-degree gear, but very overcomplified. That's not a word. Make sure to use these macaroni bricks instead of these, because it won't work if you use these. Our next mechanism is just more of a general hack, but to make sure to use these universal joints. If you ever need to get a gear down into a very particular spot, these joints really come in handy because they can move motion over very weird and odd spaces. Our next mechanism is called a differential. These are used on every car today, and with good reason. A differential basically consists of the main axle that goes up to the engine. When we spin this, it pushes in 1-to-1 on either side. But if you hold on to it, it'll change to 2-to-0 ratio. This is because when a car turns, one wheel will inevitably go way farther than the other, and so that can cause some weird issues if you do it without this differential piece in the middle. Because when you turn them both at the exact same time at the exact same speed, it'll stop. The reason we have this is for those turns on cars. So yeah, it's just a pretty cool mechanism. It can take a little bit of time to understand how it works, but once you do, it'll seem pretty essential. Our next mechanism is called a one-way mechanism. On this, you can turn this side, but then when you try to turn back, you just can't. This is because there's this beam right here. This is automatically friction downed by this rubber band, and so when you pull it in, it will roll over the propellers, but then you can't push it back into it because the beam will just block it. Our final mechanism is one of the Circuit Cubes builds. I decided to build it because I just thought that it looked pretty cool. So this one is designed, it's the Circuit Cube system, the Robots Rumble kit. It's basically like, what's the word for it? The BattleBots? Yeah, BattleBots. And so you can get multiple of the kits and then build all sorts of different BattleBots. And so this one, as you can see, has two big tank treads, and there's something really satisfying about the way that this moves around in a circle. And then it also has this front part, which can be used to kind of flip over robots with some teeth, and it has the same thing on the other side. On the bottom, it has 2 geared motors, and this one on the top. So let's go test it out.
Honey.